Welcome to Smashing PBs, brought to you by 40 Thieves Nut Butters, New Zealand's best peanut butter for fueling everyday and epic adventures. I'm your host, Shyr Godfrey. Join me for inspiring conversations with Kiwis who push boundaries, do things differently, and smash their personal bests. In this episode, I'm talking to Courtney Durr. She's honestly the most vibrant person I think I've ever met. She's a self-worth coach and founder of Worthwild, and she helps women reconnect with themselves and build emotional resilience. Her story is a powerful reminder that growth often begins with discomfort. Hey Courtney, thank you so much for coming on the Smashing PBs podcast. How's your day been?
Thank you so much for having me. My day has been a little chaotic, if I'm honest.
Tell me, I love chaos.
I live at the Mount, so decided I would drive up on the morning. So I got up nice and early and went to the gym, got the gym in, got some breakfast, got a good chat, and then jumped on the road and was very surprised by Auckland traffic. I'm just not used to the traffic at all. So
and we're always in denial about it too.
Yep, always in denial about traffic, and also I am a time optimist. Meaning I'm like, I've got enough time, and so the last sort of half an hour of the drive, I was like, I need to get there, and then just getting here. So I was a bit frazzled, but you look
fresh. And the time optimist and me went over in the other recording, so it all worked out.
Yeah, it's so funny, just like being in the car, on my own with my thoughts, and I'm just like, wow, my thoughts are really, going worst case scenario, and I'm like, I need to get there, and actually then I get here and it's like, wow, it's actually everything's okay, Courtney. Like no one's died. We're fine.
I love it.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the drive up. I've done that drive quite a few times, and there's a few wobbly bits. And then as you say, lots of traffic. So no, I really appreciate it. I'm always interested in how things start. How do you, I see who you are now, but how did you get here?
Grew up in sports, and from basically since I could walk, I was second child, and I was a typical second child, which is like, just like, give me attention, I have so much energy. Yeah. I'm just like a tornado, whereas like my older sister is like, follow the rules and just be a very good girl, and I'm just like, chaos, and I'm really talking about chaos a lot already, but Mum was obviously like, hey, we need to find an outlet for all this energy, and so got into sports at a really young age, hindsight, looking at what I do now as a coach, working with groups and focusing on coaching and encouraging, I see where that really started, and that's like definitely in team sports.
What sports did you play?
So my main sport was softball.
Interesting. I was like, in my head, I was like netball.
I played netball and football. I like basically played any
everything. But you loved softball.
But softball, it was super random. So Mum, I think she just like read the newspaper, and there was like T-ball like for 6-year-olds or something, and so she's like, let's go down. So I started playing T-ball, and then I played softball for about 10 years, and got to wear the New Zealand jersey for like the junior White Sox.
Good.
So that was like incredible, just again, like looking back in hindsight, I realised how much I learnt through being in a team environment, and just the importance of community and having people around you to support you and lift you up, the importance of like using your voice and being able to lead and captain, and then also just having coaches and the different types of coaches that I had throughout those years, and like looking back who really supported me and whose coaching style didn't help me, the power of thought, and so I played softball at a really high level for about 10 years, but at my last, I think it was about 2 years that I really stuck at it. Last 2 years of playing softball, I started to really doubt myself and question my ability, and I got really in my head. And what is so fascinating to me is that I stopped being able to throw a ball.
Wow.
So my mental ability was affecting my physical ability. And so I remember I was going to nationals and I was a catcher. So as a catcher, you catch the ball from the pitch and you throw it back to the pitcher, and you're throwing hundreds of balls like in a game. And I started kind of, overthinking and doubting myself, and I would throw the ball into the ground, and then I'd throw the ball into the outfield. And people who knew of my ability were like, what's going on, Courts? And I just had nobody that could help me understand what was happening in my mind.
You could probably spiral off that, because
I did.
I mean, I definitely didn't play any elite sports, but even in netball, I was a shooter, and I know that if you didn't get that first goal, you pretty much, you'd lose your confidence unless maybe second and third, But then, it's amazing how if you start the game well, you seem to be able to go through. But if you mess it up at the beginning, something happens.
Oh, absolutely. But with that example, that's really interesting, because that's not what happens for everyone. If someone can miss a first shot and be fine, but that was the belief that you held, and so that's what impacted the rest of your game. And so I had my own beliefs about that, and so it was quite traumatizing for a 15-year-old to have these expectations on me and also on myself, and really embarrass myself every single game, and be thrown into the outfield. And it's wild. I'm just so fascinated by the brain and the body that even now when I get a ball in my hand and go to throw it, I'm sweating thinking about it,
And so something that started off so wonderfully just turned.
Absolutely. So it was a huge part of my identity, and then I made the decision to stop playing, because I just couldn't deal with the embarrassment and the shame that I was experiencing. And so letting that go was really hard for me, because I let such a big part of who I was go. And then I kind of moved into personal training and sports. And so that was kind of, I guess that natural progression into that. And
so you started, you started heading to the gym instead?
Yeah. So I was at school, and my friend who I played a lot of sport with, she was like, I'm going to this open day for a sports institute.
Okay.
And I was like, what? There's an open day? You can study sports? I had no idea that you could even study sports. And so I remember going with her to this open day, coming home that day and being like, Mum, this is what I want to do.
Yes.
And so I was just so sure of it. And my mum and dad were just really supportive of
That's
whatever
so nice.
I wanted to do. They weren't you have to do this. They were just sure, if it brings you joy, go and do it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so, so I studied sport, but I wasn't interested in personal training or fitness necessarily, but
technique, or
I didn't really, it was just whatever helped me to play sport well. And so as a part of the study, we got to go into the gym, and then I guess finishing study, I still didn't know if I wanted to be a personal trainer, but I was I don't want to lose what I've learned, so I'll just go and work in a gym. Yeah, I actually did. And I remember working at the gym, and the gym manager, he was like, you would be a really great personal trainer. Have you thought about doing that? And before he said that, I really doubted my ability to run my own business and be a personal trainer, but I think just having that belief from an external source, I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a go. And then fell into personal training, and so that's kind of where the seeds were planted around coaching and community, for sure. What I found over time was that I was like, yes, I love exercise, it's such a core part of who I am, but what really lit me up was hearing about people and their humanness, and really getting to know these people, and so I think that was really a big part of why I do what I do now, is because I got to really, I guess, see behind the curtain, and really get to know these people, not just the mask that they show the world, but that authentic self, who the messy, authentic, real self, which I fell in love with, and I was like, I want to know more about people. So that was such a big part of it.
Wow. And then I guess, there's one thing to kind of want to learn more about people, but how do you turn that into a business? How did you decide that was
the route? So I, working in a gym, you hear a lot of messaging from like other people of just, you know, your body is your marketing tool, and like what you look like matters. And so I just remember being so hyper focused on what my body looked like, and I'd just go through just, you know, up and down with like dieting and overtraining and getting injured, and just it was not ideal, and it definitely wasn't healthy. And I remember I had one of the PTs at the gym. He's again like one of my closest friends now. He really like took me under his wing and helped me to kind of see outside of actually just aesthetics.
Yes.
And I kind of lost that love for sport and functionality because I was so focused on like I need to, you know, look like a personal trainer, and so
every muscle has to, you know, got to have abs, got
exactly
to,
all of
the right
that.
shape.
And so I decided to sign up for a half Ironman, and so with training for a half Ironman, you can't be focused on aesthetics.
No.
You have to be focused on fueling.
Yes.
Like you
tell just for any listeners, what does a half Ironman include?
So a half Ironman is a 2K swim, a 90K bike, and then a half marathon, so a 21K run. And so, it was just everything, every part of training and life was about fueling. And so it was kind of, I think it was 7 months of training. So I really let go of, like, I didn't care about what my body looked like. I just wanted to perform well. And I just remember crossing that line and being like, I feel so lit up and I feel so alive and I feel so healthy as well. And I want to get rid of the scales. I want to get rid of like all of this like unhelpful conversation around what health looks like. And I want to kind of broaden what that is. So this was in 2014. So there wasn't really like, people weren't talking about self-love or body love. They weren't talking about mental well-being or anything like that. And I was just like, I want to talk about this. So,
so cool.
So I just like remember I started my own like boot camp on the outside of the gym, and I just said that this boot camp is about community and it's not about comparison, it's not about competing, it's just about moving your body as a gift to your body. It's about connecting with like-minded women and actually supporting each other, and it's also about broadening that lens of what well-being is. And so we talked about gratitude, and I brought in other people to help them with workshops around goal setting and, you know, and just really understanding well-being in a way that wasn't just about what you ate and exercise. That's and so I guess like zoom out, and I think about, you know, I was so focused on like how much I was eating and all of that, and it was just like, but for what? Like at what point do I actually get to enjoy this healthy body? At what point do I actually get to love this healthy body? You know, and so I think we see that with success. You know, it's not just with like the way that we look, but it's also like how much money we have and things. It's like, when do we actually get to feel that sense of enough? You know, so it's that. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's like it's enjoying the journey. You know, it's not always having like you have your goals. But you have to, once you get to that goal, because you've thought about it so much, you're already ready for the next goal. So you have to enjoy the pathway to get there. That is so cool. Absolutely.
So you mentioned values. How does that come into your, I guess, teaching? Like, do you get people to write down what they believe in, or how does that tell me?
So when I was running these boot camps, I had a woman come in and run a goal-setting workshop. And this was, again, like, I think 2015 sort of time. And I was very much in my, like, toxic positivity phase at that point, where I was just like, that's a whole other thing. But I just remember thinking like, yes, goal setting and like happiness, and like that's what we're going to be focusing on. And it was an incredible workshop that focused on not only goals and values, but it also focused on like the inner critic and like the obstacles that are preventing you from that. So it really like opened my mind to this world. But one of the really key takeaways from that workshop was around values. And I'd never done like value work before. And now you won't catch me not talking about values, because of how much it has impacted my life personally and how much it has impacted my client's life. But for me, when I think about values, I think about like my core essence and what makes me me. So, I think when you don't have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of your own values and your own essence, then what's going to happen is you're going to get caught up in everybody else's idea of what success is.
Yes.
This is what is a successful person. This is what will make you happy.
Yes.
This is what will make you fulfilled. But there's no way that anybody else could possibly tell us that.
Yeah.
The only person that knows that is ourselves.
Yes.
And so I think for me, what values are as an anchor point to actually, when I live my life based on what my core values are, then I will feel that genuine sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
I am able to make decisions much better. I am able to feel a sense of joy, and I'm not as bothered by other people's opinions because I'm like, that's okay because we have different values and like this is the decision I'm making for my life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to understand that or like that.
That's pretty, that's so much easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like especially in New Zealand, I speaking maybe too broadly here, but it's a little bit of a, I guess, people-pleasing sort of society where we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And but we're very comfortable in making ourselves feel uncomfortable.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so we'll prioritize everybody else outside of ourselves, but then if we're not living fulfilled lives, then we're not actually very pleasant to be around anyway. So it kind of doesn't even make sense.
Absolutely. And I think with that, when I say, I'm not as bothered about other people's opinions, it's like I'm not as bothered. It's not to say, believe me, I still care about what people think, but it is more when you do something that might go against what somebody else would agree with or understand, what you're doing is you're inviting a level of pain into your life, like it's like the pain through the risk of being abandoned or someone, being angry at you or judging you. And so what values help is to give me a sense of this is why I'm making this decision. Because if I'm just letting people down or just going against the grain and I don't understand why I'm doing it, then I'm not going to be as inclined to invite that pain in. Whereas it's just because some pain is actually important and necessary, and we are going to let people down and we are going to upset people. And so I think if we know why for ourselves, then it makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't make it easy, but it does. It make, at least in my own experience, I know why I've done what I've done and why I've chosen to live the life that I live. Joy is a core value of mine, and it's very important that I like every aspect of my life. Like I choose every aspect is there because I like it and it brings me a sense of joy. Not 24/7. Like my job brings me so much joy. It does not mean that I love it 24/7. No,
there'll be parts of it that don't work.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's the hard bit, as you said, like that little bit of pain.
Yes.
The hard bits might bring delayed joy.
Yes, that's part of it. But if I didn't have that sense of this is important to me, then I might follow the timeline that I think I'm meant to follow. I might work in a job that's more financially secure. I might, settle in with that last relationship that I was in that was I was probably going to get married to him and, it would be okay, but not amazing. But it's like, no, it's really important to me that I love and choose everything in my life. Yeah. And so I let him down because, I walked away from that relationship even though it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't actually broken.
It wasn't broken. There wasn't anything terribly wrong, but I knew that this was not bringing me joy. This was not making me feel like I could be my best version of myself. Wow. And so I had to let him down and I had to hurt him. Yeah. In order to be truly aligned with what I want,
Yeah, that's super brave. I think a lot of people do, with relationships, stay in them, whether it's like a romantic relationship, like a partner, or whether it's a friendship.
Totally.
They'll just stay in them because they feel like, they owe it to the other person to still show up, still be there. So that is, I guess I can see how if it doesn't align with your value, you just have to let it go and be okay with them being uncomfortable. And I guess over time they'll get over it, and that might be part of their learning. Like that might be one of the things that shapes who they become.
Exactly. And I think like, who am I to control how this other person feels? It's my responsibility to live authentically and to be honest with myself and others, and whatever their journey is whatever. It's not like I've intentionally gone out to hurt this person. It's just that in my decision to do what's right for me, it's naturally hurt him. But over time, it's what's best for both of us, you know? It's like, you never want to be with someone out of obligation because you don't want to hurt them and you're trying to control them not feeling an uncomfortable emotion. It's just like, actually, let them feel that uncomfortable emotion. Let them reflect on themselves and you know, and let them not like me because that's not my responsibility.
Wow.
Like, I really understand that as I'm saying this, it's like, you just don't care what people think. I know that it's not that easy, and it goes against like who we are and what we want to do. But I think that it's really looking at the I guess zooming out and looking at the big picture. It's like, what if you keep abandoning your knowing and keep ignoring what you need, what does that look like in 12 months time? What does that look like in 5 years time, you know? And who will you become if you keep ignoring that kind of that knowing?
So basically there's like, I guess the people in your life, there's room, as long as you're open and honest, there's room for them to come to the table.
Totally.
You know, but then at the end of the day, if after time and time again things aren't getting better, they aren't changing, then that's where your values come back in. And your value of, in this instance, or one of joy, like making sure that you're not just like living through your life, you're actually you're following why you want to be here.
Absolutely. And like, just on this topic, I think it's so important to talk about, because we then, even in the self-development world, can go into this like perfectionist way of thinking. And so it's definitely not to say that like I live by my values 100% of the time. Like, there's so many times where I won't show up authentically because I'm scared, because I'm putting on a mask or whatever it is.
And it can be exhausting as well. Sometimes it might be give yourself a little bit of a break.
Literally, I'm like, let me just put on this mask of like happy, fun, joy girl because I'm like, I can't be bothered like talking about, something that I'm really struggling with. So I'm struggling with something, and I'm choosing not to be authentic because I just can't deal with it. That's that's not if that was happening constantly, if that was becoming a pattern and I was constantly disregarding my feelings and not showing up authentically, then that is going to be really like, that's going to affect me over time. So I think like the key thing here is, it's not about being perfect, but just looking at those patterns that are showing up again and again and being, this is really hard, but like being radically honest with yourself, not pretending like it's fine, or which is what I was doing a lot of the time. I was like, I have to be honest with myself, you know.
Well, I feel that's definitely a trait that I'm sure a lot of people like don't allow themselves to have, or they don't have yet.
Smashing PBs is brought to you by 40 Thieves, award-winning producers of New Zealand's tastiest peanut butter, almond butter and superfood butters. Every spoonful is packed with protein, healthy fats and all the goodness you need for fueling everyday and epic adventures. Grab your next jar at your local Woolworths, New World, Pack and Save and the Warehouse supermarkets, and start smashing your personal bests.
Not being a perfectionist, or how do you allow that to happen? Like in your teachings, how do you find your authentic self? How do you know who you are?
How
do you discover it?
How do you know who your authentic self is? I think the authentic self is, this is a conversation that I will have a lot with my clients, and that we're just like working this out together. But I don't think that your authentic self is this like final state. I don't think it is something, just another thing to get to. I think it's something that you can experience in a moment. I think we all know when we are showing up authentically, and even if it's just in a split moment where we're in flow, or we feel that sense of relief or elation or joy or childlike, understood, like it's just I think that we can notice our authentic self in moments. So again, like, it's not something to work to and get to, but it's more something to notice, and just like and kind of being able to, oh gosh, I know that this is like oversaid and it is also so rich coming from me, but like slow down enough to actually notice, you know? Like I think about even just when I'm eating, and again, like I feel so hypocritical here, guys, because I am like the world's fastest eater. Like I'm like a vacuum cleaner, but it's like, it's like slow down and taste the flavors. Like really and this is something that I do tell myself a lot. What are you rushing to? Like, where are you rushing to? It's that whole idea of like, when I get when I achieve the goal, when I reach that level of success, then I will feel how I want to feel. When I finally get confident and do this and achieve this, then I will finally be my authentic self and I can finally feel a state of, it's like, no. We're not, the only destination that we ever get to is death, you know? So really like, what are we rushing to? For me, it is that reminder, slow down and notice. You know, I think there's so much power in like actually noticing when we feel good and what are we doing? And who are we around? What environments?
How do we do more of that?
And how do we do more of that? And I think for me, like that my move to the Mount, I'm from Wellington. I've been in Wellington for my whole life. And I remember the summer before, I left my ex. And that whole year before leaving him, I was completely disconnected from myself because I wasn't being honest with what I needed.
You weren't ready for that hard conversation. So you were just living it.
I was avoiding, I was numbing, like it was all of the things. And then I finally had the really hard conversation and I let someone down. And then I remember that summer I went to the Mount just for a couple of weeks and I like have never felt so amazing. Like I just was like, I just feel calm and joy. Like I truly feel like my best self here. And that's that like noticing of like, wow, I really like who I am when I'm in this environment. And it's not to say I am like my best self because of the Mount, but it was more about what it consisted of. So the type of people that I was around, nature, ocean,
it's
sunshine.
Definitely like visually a very beautiful place.
Just the colours and everything like that. And so it was that like noticing of like, oh, these are the environments that make me and as an individual feel really good. And so I think it is, but you can't notice if you don't slow down. You know,
sometimes you have to stop the life you're leading and actually put yourself in a whole different situation to realize. Oh, that's pretty interesting.
So and even just like I think another thing that I've been trying to invite more of in my life is stillness and silence. So again, like I'm such a like fast mover and I just am like all about like productivity and like doing the things and crushing the goals and all of that. And so it's just actually if I take time to just be in silence, then I can actually listen to what my body is saying.
It's so interesting. So Lighthouse is
my group coaching program. So it's all online. We come together every week online on Zoom. And I take them through the structure of the program. So that's the Lighthouse side of things, and that's like the core of what I do. But I also do retreats like maybe like once a year. It's very like intuitive if I'm like feeling it, and that's more like in person. And I've also for the last year been running what's called Curious Minds in the Mount, and that's bringing people together to journal and meditate. And so like coming from that sporting background, I just know the power of community. And so Lighthouse is definitely more structured, and you are building like quite a deep connection with yourself and the other people in the group. But just being able to give lots of different people different types of opportunities to come together and like meet people.
And most of the people like, do they end up forming friendships and meet in real life?
Yes. Oh, honestly, that is one of my, I think, greatest joys in business is seeing people become friends through my facilitation. Like I'm just like,
you're just like you're a new age matchmaker.
Literally, I'm like the friendship cupid. Like I absolutely love it. And I have seen that because especially with Lighthouse, it's it's 3 months of coming together for 2 hours a week to really, like, you're talking about quite deep things.
Yes.
And a lot of the people, what they find is they are sharing a lot more about themselves than they would with even like their best mates. Because I think when with your friends, and especially if you kind of, were friends in school, you kind of feel like you have to hold this sort of, I guess, they see you as this type of person and you have to maintain that perception. And whereas like you come into a space like Lighthouse and you're like, nobody knows me. I can be whoever the fuck I want. Sorry, that's very, I can be whoever I want, and so then it's also like traveling, right? It's like you go traveling and you're like, nobody knows me. I can actually be who I want to be.
Get to test out different versions of yourself and then figure out. That's
and
cool.
have fun with it and like and also not have fun with it. Sometimes it's like intense and it's scary, but it's being in those, I think what cultivates that friendship is the vulnerability.
The raw,
It's just being able to be like, actually, I'm not perfect. Actually, I am struggling. Actually, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Sorry.
That's all right. That's
sometimes
okay.
I swear
away.
when I feel passionate.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it is that like, putting down the masks of who you think you should be and letting people see who you are. And it's so wild because I think we think that we need to be perfect in order to be loved. But in my experience, when people show me their human selves and when they aren't perfect, I'm like, I see me in you and it makes me love you. Ooh, it makes me love you even more, So it's like, it's so funny. We hold ourselves to the standard of perfection in order to be loved, but really it's like our humanness that people just, feel close with.
So I love that. I was going to come back to something that you mentioned earlier, which was toxic positivity. How do you join Lighthouse? Like, is it people that are generally, I guess, are they feeling low and they want a way? Is it because then it becomes a bit of a therapy session?
Yeah, such a good question.
But then how do you then avoid negativity if everybody is sharing all their most painful bits? And then how does that tie into what you were talking about earlier? Like,
such a good question. Yeah, I love it. So I am a self-worth coach. I'm a life coach.
Yes.
I am not a therapist,
Yes.
and really, it's been huge for me to make sure that I draw that line and I know the difference. And so what I would say is that the type of people that I work with are people that are kind of living on that, like, things are okay. Like, they're not going through anything significantly traumatic.
Yes.
And
that would require therapy, I guess.
That would require therapy, but they kind of feel stuck. Maybe they're looping on, just negative, unhelpful thought patterns or habits. Maybe they have this sense of like, I just really want more for myself, but I just keep doing the same stuff over and over again. So it's that sense of, kind of feeling a bit average, but meh.
Yes.
That's like what I find that's kind of that baseline. But I also, what I've noticed is a lot of people that I work with are in transitional times in their life. And what I mean by that is they're going from essentially one identity into another.
Yes.
So whether that's going from being a student into the workforce, or whether that's, becoming a mother, or moving to a new city, leaving or entering a relationship, they're kind of going from this is who I was and now this is who I'm stepping into, but that's uncertain. And that's, I think I help people navigate that uncertainty because it's terrifying, right? You're just like, when you don't know what is ahead of you, your brain is negatively biased and it will go to worst case scenario. Yeah. And so having the support of a coach, tools, and a like-minded community is like, okay, let's navigate this uncertainty together, so that you can kind of step into this next chapter more intentionally.
Wow.
So it's definitely...
Everybody needs that.
Literally. But this is... Okay, don't yell, Courtney. I feel very passionate about this. But I'm like, everybody needs this. I need this.
Yes.
Literally, everybody needs this. And I think about it as, it's just support, whether that's a support of like a personal trainer or a physio or a mentor or whatever it is. It's like, it's just those support systems that help us see it outside of ourselves. You know, we can be very much in that, I guess, like, you know, tunnel lens of we can't see what we're struggling with, and sometimes we just need somebody that sees our potential. Like, I think, again, I bring it back to my coaches, and some of the coaches that I will forever remember are the ones that saw my potential when I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, that were like...
So you were driven by the more positive, you know, the positive affirmations, not like, you know, try harder.
Exactly. And that was the case. Like, I had one coach that was just like, he just always focused on what I wasn't doing well of. And he just thought, you know, I'm not going to talk about the airy-fairy stuff. That's not important. This is what you're doing wrong. And I just shrunk.
Wow.
I just like was so focused on what I was doing wrong that amplified.
It grew, you know? Almost like a cancer, you know, like
100%. And so it was that, like, I'm just constantly focusing on what I'm not doing, and then I'm continually doing more of that. And so, then it's how do we, what's toxic positivity and what's genuine positivity? Because I'm certainly not saying that positivity is bad, but what was happening for me in the early stages of getting into the self-development world was I would feel an uncomfortable emotion like jealousy or sadness or confusion or disappointment, and I thought, nope, that's bad. I don't want to feel that. So let me put a silver lining on it. Let me bypass the uncomfortable feeling.
Always find a twist.
Yeah, absolutely. And so toxic positivity is when you bypass the uncomfortable emotion to rush to the positive emotion.
Wow.
And so positivity in and of itself is a beautiful thing, but you still need to feel and validate all the other emotions that you're experiencing as well, you know? And so it's that, for me, it was growing my capacity to be with uncomfortable emotions, then helped them to move in and out much more freely rather than like trying to block them and pretend like they're not there. And so, I guess as a result, I have a much more genuine connection with myself because I'm not invalidating. Oh, I'm not sad. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, everything
Shouldn't
is
be feeling
hunky-dory.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just learning to, I guess, grow your capacity to be with the uncomfortable feelings and having the knowing that they are temporary.
That's the power, that it will pass and it won't feel as hurtful after a little while.
Yeah, and if anybody's listening to this, my homework for you, I mean, obviously people listen to this, but my homework for you is to watch Inside Out 1 and Inside Out 2.
Okay.
Honestly, those movies, they taught me so much just about emotions and even just creating little avatars for our emotions. So I think especially like sadness in the movie, I'm like, sadness is so powerful.
Wow.
But looking at, because what I was doing when I was in the kind of my toxic positivity phase was I was pretending like sadness and anger didn't exist.
Yeah.
And if you imagine those as avatars or little kids.
Like a byproduct of failure almost.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're bad.
Yeah.
Sadness, you're bad. Anger, you're bad. That's going to have an effect on them. You know, it's like actually if I give them space to say, hey, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
You know, I see you. And I love you, they actually soften and they actually get to move in and out a lot more efficiently is the wrong word here.
No,
but
it is. And I get it. It's true. I think an example I have is, my daughter just had she swims every week and she's not getting her side glide very well. She just hasn't nailed it yet, right? But we've had a couple of weeks off, sicknesses and all that, but her friend got it and then she got like the sticker to move up and I saw and I knew, I was like, this is a moment, like this is one of those moments where you have to do the right thing. And like instead of, anyway, she came and she like, I could see the shock in her face that she, you know, the disappointment. It's like, it starts young, that feeling.
Oh yeah.
And like, I guess on one hand you can say like, oh, don't worry about it, doesn't matter, it's okay, everything's okay, you're still doing really well.
Yeah.
But instead I said, that was really hard.
Yes.
You really wanted to pass, but you didn't. That sucks. You know, like it's and then she just, I felt her body just like drop into it. I know. It was quite a moment. I was like, yes, I'm not failing at parenting. But you know, and then she was able to, she was still, then it turned a little bit into anger because she was like, and then, but then she got over it.
Yep.
Like, she got over it. Whereas, like, if it was like, hey, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. Like, oh, like, it's not your fault. Or, then you go, oh, I shouldn't have felt that.
Yes,
and
exactly.
that was wrong to feel that. I should like not get my award that I wanted, and I shouldn't feel bad about it. It's a lot. So
that's such a beautiful example, because then in that again, like, I am not a parent, but it is that.
In many ways, you're a coach, so you're parenting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely reparenting myself, and that side of things. But you can't compare. But it is just that you can see that parents it's in what they are role modeling. I guess I'm a daughter, so I know from that standpoint, it's like you can say all the things to them, but it is in what you're showing them, So it's not to say, like, you're not saying to her your emotions are valid. You're showing that through how you are, like, holding space for her feelings. And I think that was another thing that when I built my and I'm still building that capacity to be with uncomfortable emotions, and I allowed myself to have uncomfortable emotions, it meant that I had greater capacity to allow other people to have those big emotions.
Yes, so you actually inspired.
I had better relationships with people, because if somebody came to me, like someone really close to me at the time where I was going through my toxic positivity phase was dealing with anxiety and depression. And you can imagine how unhelpful it would be if I'm just coming in and be like, just think happy thoughts, you know, and like there was just such a wall between us because she didn't feel validated by me, and I just was not understanding her. But it wasn't that it wasn't that she shouldn't feel the feelings, it was that I felt uncomfortable. And so I was telling her not to have those feelings, but it was because of me, And so it's like...
You didn't know how to sit with them.
I didn't know how to sit with them. So I was telling her, don't cry, don't, And it was actually... It wasn't me trying to, like, make her feel better. It was me trying to make me feel better,
Yes,
so it's like... In honouring and validating my own uncomfortable feelings, I'm actually growing stronger and more meaningful relationships with people, because I can hold space for their
I love that. That's
big
really
emotions.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just before we finish up, I just wanted to move back into the training.
Yeah.
So obviously that's like something that brings you joy. What are you training for anything at the moment, firstly?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love training. I just love it all. So I am training for CrossFit Team Nationals, which is, I used to be a CrossFit coach back in the day, like 8 years ago, and I was like all about it. And then I think I just overtrained, and it just, it was just too much on my body. And I was like, never again. I will never do CrossFit again. And so I got into running. So over the last sort of few years, I've been running lots. I did a marathon last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
What was your time, if you want to share?
I did. It's a bit of a... I got 4:03, and I'm just like,
smashed your PB.
Oh yes, I'm like, want to come back for a vengeance with the
under 4 hours.
But that's
the things we do for a few minutes.
Literally, I'm like, what? No, but it was an amazing achievement. And then I did high rocks, so that was amazing. And I think like that's really the space that I'm in, is high rocks.
Yes.
But one of the coaches at my gym was like, Courts, do you want to jump in like with Team Nats? And I was like, let me just dabble back into CrossFit for a couple of months. So that's what I'm training for at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess, just to tie it all back, like, are you finding that all the work that you're doing, you're doing for these women and like, or anyone who's a part of the courses, like, are you bringing that into your training?
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, mindset is just as much, if not more, a part of success in terms of your physical well-being as much as the actual training, so
I guess, like, how do you stop what happened with softball happening all over again?
Exactly. What's
the difference this time?
That's what I think about. I just think about little Courts. That was she just needed someone to guide her in terms of like her thinking and her mindset and so I'm doing that constantly with myself, of just really focusing on what makes me feel better, what is actually helping me enjoy this process, because if I'm constantly thinking about I'm not fit enough, I'm not doing enough, comparing myself to the person next to me, then I'm not actually enjoying the process. And if I'm not enjoying the process, what is the point?
Yes.
You know,
Just
again,
to tick a box.
it's that whole thing of like the only destination that we truly ever get to is death. And so I'm like, if I'm not enjoying each and every, okay, not every day, but like if I'm, again, looking at that pattern, do I enjoy training as a whole? Yes, I have tough weeks and yes, I have tough days, but as a whole, I love to move my body. I'm proud of the progress I'm making. It's exciting, it's new, I get to be around people. And so that's where, but that's not a natural way of thinking. I haven't always thought like that. And so because our brains are negatively biased, we are wired to look out for threat, to look out for negativity. It actually takes conscious effort to redirect to what is it. And what I say now is it's not about thinking positively, it's about thinking usefully.
Oh, I love it.
You know, it's like it's because sometimes being overly positive means that you're not actually acknowledging, you know, real things that you need to acknowledge. So it's like, is this thought serving me, you know? And so, and that's where I want to just try and consciously direct my attention to. And I wouldn't be able to do that had it not been for the work that I do with my clients. So exercise helps my mental well-being and my work and my mental well-being helps exercise.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I feel like that's the perfect thing to finish on. Yeah. Thank you so much, Courtney. That was so good. Are you smooth or crunchy?
Oh.
Are you a smooth or crunchy gal?
I feel like people are like hard one or hard the other, but I'm actually no. I think if I had to choose, I'd say maybe like 60% crunchy and 40% smooth.
There we go. So we'll, I'm gonna do a.
Oh my god!
There we go.
Yes.
The Smashing PBs. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for listening to this episode of Smashing PBs, brought to you by 40 Thieves, New Zealand's best peanut butter for fueling every day and epic adventures. If this episode inspired you, please like, subscribe and share with like-minded legends. Now go grab a jar of 40 Thieves from your local supermarket and start smashing PBs.